Good morning everybody and welcome back to the concrete road that joins the Haweswater and Wetsleddle reservoirs. If you saw my video last week, you'll know that during lockdown when I've been out exercising, I've been spending a lot of time walking along this concrete road. And usually when I get to this point, I have to make a decision whether to go left or right. But today we're going to do something differently. Today I'm going to go straight on and I'm heading into an area called Ralphland Forest. As you can see, we have got an absolutely fantastic sky this morning. It's a photographer's dream. It's just a shame that I haven't got a composition yet because I've spent too much time messing about with video. And you can also probably see Seat Robert, which is ultimately going to be my destination today. And although we're actually in the Lake District National Park here, it isn't one of the fells that features in the Wainwright fells, the 214 summits identified by the fell walker Alfred Wainwright that made it into his 7 pictorial guides. I think it features in his 8th book, which is the Outlying Fells. Now, I can't remember how high it is, I will find that out, but for now I need to crack on and try and find a composition. So I'm going to turn you off so that I can concentrate. Right, I've come right into Ralphland Forest now, and I have found a composition. Quite a nice little composition as well. So it's a very barren landscape up here. There aren't many features, so it can be difficult to find something to build a photograph around. And to be honest with you, it has taken me a while. But I've found this light patch of moss, this kind of hilly moss. This is covered in all sorts of flora and different mosses and grasses and what have you, and it has been an incredible spring. The irony of lockdown has been that it's been the best spring that I can remember, and we've had hardly any rain and it's very, very dry. So in the foreground here I have this patch of light moss, and that's my foreground interest, and then in the midground I've got these wonderful cotton grasses which just look fabulous this time of year. And then my background are the hills in the distance. And unfortunately the sky has gone rather flat, but I don't think it needs it in this shot because we have interest throughout the frame. Okay, so I have a bit of a confession to make. I actually have 2 confessions to make. Firstly, the shot that I just showed you there was not the shot that I just took. It was the shot that I took about 30 minutes ago when I first arrived. And the second confession that I have to make is that I haven't just found that composition. I haven't just stumbled across it. I found it yesterday when I was out scouting ahead of this video. You see, during lockdown, I came to realise something, and that was that my photography comes a lot more easily to me when I'm not trying to make YouTube videos. And that became very apparent last week when I was out filming for the first time. And I don't know if you remember, but I took that shot of Keld Bridge and I muffed it up. And that meant I had to come back out again and reshoot it. And throughout lockdown, my photography has been a lot easier for me. And it's because I've been able to concentrate 100% on taking photographs. The problem with YouTube, and the problem with creating these videos, is you've always got half a mind on the video. And so you're never really 100% focused on your photographs. And that means that I often make mistakes, and there are often small bits in my images that I missed at the time, probably because I wasn't focusing completely. So I do find myself in a little bit of a dilemma. Because I am a landscape photographer, that is what I do, that is my job. And so, do I, going forward, focus completely on my photography and take away the distraction of YouTube? Or do I continue as I have been and taking the benefits of YouTube and the exposure that I get through YouTube, in the knowledge that my photography ultimately will continue to be compromised. If you look at my portfolio that's on my website, I think it's about 22 images at the moment. And every single image in that portfolio was taken while I was out filming YouTube videos. And don't get me wrong, I'm very proud of my portfolio. I have a huge connection to my images, and I like all the images that are in my portfolio. But it does beg the question, if I hadn't been doing YouTube, would A, the portfolio be bigger? Because in nearly 3 years, I've only managed to put together 22 really good images. Or would the standard of the photographs in my portfolio be better? Because all of my portfolio has been taken with just half my mind on the job. I think one of the options that's open to me is to do the videos retrospectively. So when I come on location, I should concentrate and focus on the photograph, and really for each trip I'm really only looking to get one really good image. So I should focus on that and then do the video almost retrospectively, either on location at the time or back at home in the office. Problem is that doesn't really float my boat, and it does really kind of impact the storytelling aspect of the video. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm not somebody who is able to come onto location and just find a composition. So this morning I came to a location that I'd scouted before, and I kind of knew the composition I wanted to shoot. And if you take somebody like my friend James Burns, he's just able to go out into the mountains, film himself, and he'll find a composition. Nothing's pre-prepared with him. I'm not very good at that. And we'll actually see how good I am at doing that, because in a minute we're going to put you away again, and I'm going to head up to Seat Robert and try and get an image up there, which I didn't prepare. I haven't been up there yet. But yeah, so the problem with that approach, as I say, is it does compromise the storytelling aspect of it, and that's what makes these videos engaging. But I'm not a YouTuber, I'm a photographer. And so I do feel that it's time for me to start putting my photography before the video. So let's give this a shot, shall we? This is a composition that I shot when I first arrived here, and I'll be honest with you, the light was a lot better. And it's a very simple shot. We have these cotton grasses in the foreground, and then in the background we've got the Seat Robert, the hill that I'm about to head off to. Very, very simple. But I often find that those are the best photographs. So foreground, background, nice bit of light. What's not to like? I think there are probably other ways that video on YouTube is bad for my photography. If you take this morning, for example, when we had that amazing sky, I wasn't that worried about getting a shot of it, and mostly that was because I had it on film. I had some nice B-roll of that lovely sky, and video is a communication method in the same way that photography is. Now that's probably a really bad thing for a landscape photographer to be thinking like that. And I think that's a really, really good example of where my concerns are coming from. But that aside, YouTube's not all that bad. For some things, it's quite good for learning about new things, such as my James Popsis camera clip thing. So as I was walking up here, packed all my gear away, I came across these fell ponies. And because my camera was handy and available and not stuffed away in my bag as it normally would be, I did managed to grab a couple of shots, and I think they're really nice. They look really, really good. So, you know, they could be, you know, fantastic. But the other thing is also, if I was filming myself and trying to film myself and trying to tell my story behind every single image that I take, I probably would have missed that shot. Can you imagine how difficult it would have been to get those shots of the ponies and try to film yourself at the same time? It just isn't possible. And I think this is why I need to rethink my approach to both my photography and to video. Anyway, in a minute I'm going to pack you away and I'm going to continue on the way to Seat Robert, and when I'm doing that I shall ponder my dilemma. And when I get to the top, I'll get you out and we'll continue this conversation. Right, well, it turns out that the hill that I've been calling Seat Robert isn't Seat Robert. According to the map, it's Great Ladstones. Seat Robert's actually behind it, which is a bit of a shame, really. But while we're here, there is a shot here. You've got a bit of rock here, which is going to be a bit of foreground interest. And then behind that, you've got this cairn that marks the summit of the Great Ladstones. And then beyond that, in the distance, we've got where we're supposed to be, which is Seat Robert. Before I grab that shot, perhaps I should address the elephant in the room. And that is that at the beginning of this video, I introduced this area as being Ralphland Forest. And the keen-eyed amongst you will have noticed that Ralphland Forest would appear not to contain a single tree. And there's no evidence, as far as I can see, that there ever were trees here in the first place. So I have absolutely no idea why it's called a forest. And then the other thing is, Ralphland, that's a bit of a weird name, isn't it? Ralphland, it doesn't sound right. And actually down in the village in Shap, there are a few little roads there, and there's a terrace called Ralphland, not Ralphland, Ralphland. R-A-F-F land, not R-A-L-F land. So I suspect this isn't Ralphland Forest at all. It's just Ralphland. As if by magic, you now find me at the top of Seat Robert. Well, not actually quite the top. I'm sheltering down below the summit because it's really quite windy up there, but you can just about see it up here. And wow, you know, fantastic. What a place. There's a really big kind of summit cairn up there, lots of rocks, and they seem to have made a bit of a big deal out of it for something that's not particularly prominent. But the views are fantastic. Lovely views towards the Far Eastern Fells, but also back towards the Eden Valley where I live. Absolutely magnificent. So I took some time. I had a little look round, tried a few shots, and this is my favourite. Anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about, and that was the impact that YouTube has had on my photography. So while I was making my way up here, I was thinking, and I know that there will be many of you sat at home now screaming at the TV, saying, of course the photography is the most important thing and it shouldn't come before the video. And obviously I'm starting to think that myself, otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation. But I did think to myself that I could have spent the last 3 years focusing on my photography, and if I'd done that, I probably would be a better photographer and I'd probably have a larger portfolio. However, I wouldn't be here today. I would still be working for Sky. I wouldn't have been able to make the leap. And that's very, very important, because the world is full of fantastic photographers that you've never heard of. I have had an absolutely fantastic day filming. I've loved every minute of it. What a place. this is. And even during the peak of the tourist season, this place is completely empty. There's just nobody here. And I cannot imagine a time when I'm not able to share this with you, because trust me, you would love it here. You would absolutely love it. So, in conclusion, I can say that yes, YouTube is bad for my photography, but it is brilliant for me as a photographer. And going forward, I need to find a way of minimizing the impact that YouTube is having on my photography, rather than stopping doing YouTube completely.